All right. So the conclusion of the tournament, we have 3 nights left. So May 30th is going to be that's Thursday. That's the last A block night. May 31st is the last B block night. And then Monday, June 3rd is going to be the semifinals. All three of these shows happening in Cork and Hall. So on the 30th, we'll have Kushida and Chomokato versus Dragon Dia and Ninja Mac. Eagles and Saber versus Doki and Taka. Drilla, Gato, and Taiji versus Hiromu, Shingo, and Naito. And then Akira and a returning Hanare. Well, Akira's out. I don't know who's in the replacement yet, but it'll be somebody and Hanare versus Sho and Nudro. And then that will lead us to the final A block matches. So first up, it will be Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus Clark Connors. So if Clark Connors wins, he remains in contention with a win. And he needs certain people to lose in order for him to advance. So I'm thinking that this is a Kanemaru upset special here.
I feel like you could do that, but what's the situation he needs to happen for him to go through? Is it pretty convoluted?
So for Connors to go through, he needs Kevin Knight to lose. He needs Hayata to lose. He needs Blake Christian to lose. He needs Teton to lose. And he needs pretty much everybody. He needs everybody to lose pretty much for him to advance. It's hard because you have Hayata and Despy in the main event. So the winner there is getting 12. So essentially, he needs Vegeta to beat Blake Christian. He needs Teton. He needs TJP to beat Teton, and he needs Bushi to beat Kevin Knight.
So I mean, if for simplicity's sake, you could have Kanemaru win, and then just eliminate Clark and get him out of there. But from my viewpoint, it's like Clark wins, and he needs so many specific things to happen for him to get through that are unlikely to happen. It's probably fine for him to just win the match and up his point total.
Yeah. Either way, I think it honestly doesn't really matter, but it would be good as a champion to have him end with 10 points. So yeah, you could do that too. Then following that,
I'm booking him to win that match personally.
Okay. Then following that, it'll be Bushi versus Kevin Knight. It's a very similar situation. Kevin Knight is at 8 points, so he has to win to remain in contention. But again, just like Clark Connors, he would essentially need everybody else. He'd probably need Clark to lose. He would need TJP to win. He would need Blake Christian to lose, and then he would need Desperado to probably win, actually, since he beat Desperado. Or maybe actually Desperado loss could probably help him too. But again, so many moving parts there that Kevin Knight would need to get in.
Yeah, and this one's tough because, like you mentioned, he would need Clark Connors to lose, correct?
Yeah, I mean, he has a tiebreaker over Clark. So if Clark got the 10, he would get the 10. He would have the tiebreaker over him. But
okay.
It would probably still work out better for him if Clark just lost.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm just gonna say here, I think Bushi probably beats him.
Yeah, because Bushi's at like 6 points, and so you can have Bushi end at 8.
Bushi ends at 8. Kevin's already at 8. That puts him at parity. I think Clark, with being a champion, it just makes more sense for him to get that win, and then you just kind of eliminate Kevin, get him out of there, and you move on.
Then the 7th match of the night is going to be TJP versus Teton. So here's where things get really interesting. So if Teton wins, he advances, and he'll get a 12. But if TJP wins, he remains alive at 10 points. And then he needs Blake Christian to lose, and he needs Desperado to lose as well. Well, I guess regardless, as long as Blake Christian wins, I think he would get in um, with a Desperado or Hayata win.
You should have gone through all the matches first instead of having us go match by match because it gets more complicated after every single match we go to. I'm like, what the fuck?
All right, so last two matches then. Blake Christian faces Kosei Vegeta, and the main event is El Desperado versus Hayata.
Okay, gotcha. So, based on your notes here, Desperado versus Hayata, whoever wins that match, they just advance. Period.
Right, because they're 10-10, so the winner's going to get 12.
And then in the semi-main event, if Blake Christian wins, he advances. Period. So I think we can say automatically Kosei Fujita is going to beat Blake Christian.
You're right.
Desperado is for sure going to beat Hayata.
Right.
So Desperado's getting through. Blake Christian's not getting through. And then essentially it becomes a four-way run at that point. And we're just working backwards here between Clark Connors, Kevin Knight, Teton, and TJP. And if Teton had won his match against TJP, he's automatically through. But if TJP wins, he remains in contention. What exactly does TJP need to happen for him to go through? Because that's the likely question here, because it's the third match from the top.
Yeah, so TJP, he needs Vegeta to beat Blake Christian, so Blake can stay at 10. And then TJ has a tiebreaker over him. And then TJ, I'll say if he beats Teton, he has a tiebreaker over Teton at 10. And then he would need Desperado. Well, I guess either way, because he beat Desperado. So if Desperado lost, he would have a tiebreaker over Desperado at 10. And I believe he defeated Hayata this past week, right? So he would have the
so if he beats Teton and Desperado goes through, which we think he is, TJP's 1A in the block, isn't he?
I think he could get to that point, yeah. So I think he lost to Hayata. So I think he needs Despy to win.
Despy to win. Okay. Well, then that's what's going to happen. TJP is going to beat Teton. Blake Christian is going to lose to Kosei Fujita, and then Desperado is going to beat Hayata. That will put TJP at 12 points. That will put El Desperado at 12 points.
No, TJP winning puts him at 10.
Oh, and then Desperado goes to 12?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I was a little confused here. Okay, perfect. And then at the end of the day, Desperado will be 1A and TJP will be 2A. So right. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. And yeah, I think Clark wins his match, but there's just too many things that need to happen for him to go through. I think Bushi beats Kevin Knight to get him out of there. TJP, upsets Teton, gets him done. Blake Christian loses to Kosei. And then Desperado, wins Hayata to punch his ticket. So we're looking at Despy 1A, TJP 2A. That's what I see.
Yeah, I think that's the situation. I just want to double check one thing with TJP and Hayata, because I'm trying to remember if he beat Hayata or not, because that actually could end up bumping him out if he lost to Hayata. Let's see here. So
I count on you to remember these things, Jeremy.
Okay, yeah. So he did defeat Hayata, night 6. Okay, so yeah. So with Hayata losing the Despy, he would be at 10,
and he has the tiebreaker over him.
Yeah. And so yeah, TJP actually has the tiebreaker over either of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically but then I guess, I don't know, there could be more complicated math that we're overlooking, but essentially if he wins his match and Blake Christian loses, he would win the tiebreaker over either guy, most likely.
Yeah, because Despy loses, Despy would be at 10, and he beat Despy, so he would have a tiebreaker over Despy, and then Hayata's at 10, and he loses, he stays at 10, he has a tiebreaker over him.
Unless there's some weird math that we're just not taking into consideration. But yeah, that's probably what it likely is. But either way, I think I think it's going to be TJP 2A, Despy 1A. And that's going to be the result of the night of May 30th. So that's 2 days from now.
Yep. Then on the 31st, it's the final B block night. We don't have the full card yet as of this recording, just a tournament matches. So the opener would have been Sho and Francesco Akira, but Akira is also he's hurt, so that match is not happening. Then we'll have Kushida and Dragon Daya, and they're both out. We'll have Drilla Maloney and Ninja Mac, they're both out. And then the last two matches will determine what happens here. So we'll have Robbie Eagles versus Doki. And if Doki wins, he remains in contention there. And I think if Robbie's at 10. So yeah, if Robbie wins, he could remain in contention as well. So the winner there will get to 12. But I think that you know what the thing is with Robbie is Robbie lost to Ishimori and Hiromu. So the main event is Taiji Ishimori versus Hiromu Takahashi. So Robbie lost to both those guys. So even if Robbie does get the 12, he can't get a tiebreaker over either of those guys.
So is he just out and we messed it up earlier?
Yeah, I thought he still had a shot of getting in, but he does not.
Oh shit, that sucks.
Yeah, I thought with being at 10, he was still alive with one match left. But yeah, because if he gets to 12, the winner of Ishimori Hiromu is going to get to 14, and then he lost to both those guys, so he would lose a tiebreaker, so he can't advance. So only Doki could advance from that match.
Okay, and did you mention the other matches in the block from earlier?
So yeah, so Kushida, Dragon Daya, Drilla, and Ninja Mac, and those.
Okay. And those are they're playing for Pride,
right?
Okay, interesting. So if Ishimori versus Hiromu, the winner advances automatically, and then the loser maybe has a chance to be B2 depending on the outcome of Robbie Eagles versus Doki. And we forgot to mention, but Sho is also automatically getting 2 points because Francesco Akira is out. So, but he's already mathematically eliminated. So the real question here is, I guess what I'm kind of confused about is if Doki wins, how is he only in contention?
So if Doki wins, that would put him at 12. But let's see. He beat Hiromu. So he does have a hot tiebreaker over Hiromu, but I think he lost to
Lost to
Ishimori.
Ishimori.
Yeah,
Okay.
he lost to Ishimori.
Okay, gotcha. So you could go the simple route and you could just have Robbie Eagles beat Doki, just get him out of contention, period. Doki's already at 10 points. Robbie goes up to 12. He's mathematically eliminated. And then at that point, Ishimori and Hiromu are fighting for 1A or 1B and 2B, period.
Right.
Or you could keep it spicy and keep Doki in. And if Doki beats Eagles, he goes to 12. And then it becomes a situation where if Hiromu wins, they're both at actually
No, so Doki needs Hiromu to lose. So then they would both be at 12. He has a tiebreaker over Hiromu, and he would be B2.
So Ishimori wins and Ishimori goes up to 14 points. He would be B1. Doki would be B2. Or Hiromu wins and then Doki gets eliminated and it's Hiromu B1, Ishimori B2.
Right.
And that's a tough one to call because in 2 out of the 3 situations you wind up with the same essential scenario where Hiromu and Ishimori are both going through, maybe in different spots, but both going through. The only situation where Doki has a shot to go through is if he wins his match and Hiromu loses, which I think most people don't anticipate. I mean, almost everybody expects Hiromu to go through, so that's probably just not happening here whatsoever. The real question is, I guess, do you think they keep Doki alive going into that final match to add a little intrigue?
I mean, I would at this point just to make it even more spicy and to give it a shot, give Ishimori a shot of potentially winning that main event.
That yes, and at the same time though, okay. So we think that let's backtrack here a little bit. 1A for sure is going to be Desperado, right?
Right.
I highly doubt they're doing Hiromu as B2. So what scenarios would wind up with Hiromu going through as B2?
Uh, I don't think there is. I guess that maybe a time limit draw with him and Ishimori would be the only way that he gets a B2.
If
Because
if Doki were to,
well, I guess if Doki loses, yeah, if Doki loses, then he can get through as B2.
and they're not going to do that. For sure
Right.
they're going to do that.
Right.
So then it probably does make sense to have Doki win. That adds the intrigue, and then you have Hiromu win, and then him and Ishimori go through.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, that makes more sense. And then at the end of the day, it will be Hiromu versus TJP and Taiji Ishimori versus Desperado.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, I think that's what our semifinals are going to be.
And then on June 3rd, those will be those matches that will play out on night 13 of Best of Super Juniors. And then, by the time we're recording next week, we'll have already reviewed all that. We'll know it all, and we will be on our way to Dominion to view the finals of the Super Juniors in the main event.
Yeah, and I'll see with Hiromu and Despy being the opposite ends of what we're predicting here. I feel like it's very clear that Hiromu's going to beat TJP, Despy will beat Taiji Ishimori, and then we'll get a Despy Hiromu finals.
I feel pretty confident of that. I'd be shocked if they did anything else.
Same.